showed up. They were chanting anti-black slogans. They were chanting anti-Jewish slogans. They were emulating Hitler's torchlight marches. And a deranged hate monger deliberately drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters. In other words, in broad daylight, in the streets of America, a man assassinated a young American named Heather Heyer. Now that's terrorism, exactly the kind of stuff that ISIS does. But somehow President Trump had a hard time condemning that murder in a forthright way. And for me, it was a really big low point. I think it was a low point for the whole country. And I had hoped that in the aftermath, we would finally come together. I mean, at least just to oppose hate speech, insane organizations, political violence. But it didn't happen. And in fact, the Anti-Defamation League now says that hate crimes against Jewish Americans have surged 57% in the last year. That's the biggest single-year jump since they started tracking this stuff back in 1979. And I just recently got a chance to see my amazing CNN colleague, a reporter named Sarah Seidner. She went down to northern Pennsylvania and she spoke to a white nationalist. Now this guy actually openly wears swastikas on his shirt, and he says America is his country because he's white. Listen to this.
We're staring down the barrel of a gun here in white America. There's still 193 million white Americans. Yes, the vast majority of them are in their 60s and 70s, will be in the ground in the next 20 years, and therefore we have the possibility of becoming a minority in our own country.
Now, to be fair, 12 of that guy's neighbors came out immediately and told Sarah they don't agree with this guy, he doesn't represent them in their community, and they deserve a round of applause for sticking up for what's right in this country. I appreciate them for doing that. But here's the thing that bothers me the most. Those same themes that were once considered so extreme are now becoming mainstream, at least in conservative media. Listen to Laura Ingraham on Fox News addressing millions of your fellow citizens and neighbors on her air.
It does seem like the America that we know and love doesn't exist anymore. Massive demographic changes have been foisted upon the American people. And they're changes that none of us ever voted for, and most of us don't like. From Virginia to California, we see stark examples of how radically, in some ways, the country has changed.
Now, I see zero difference between what Laura Ingraham is saying on mainstream cable and what the Nazi was just saying in front of his house. It's literally, it's the same message, and it's wrong. But there is some good news in America. There are millions of people who refuse to accept this notion that America should be whites only or dominated by one race forever. In fact, all across the country, people are organizing, they're fighting back, embracing diversity in historic ways. This week alone, Democrats in Michigan's 13th district nominated Rashida Tlaib for Congress. Now, she's expected to win. Yeah, that's a good thing. She'd be the first Muslim woman ever elected to the U.S. Congress. That's a good thing. Also, you know, it's been about 4 years since the death of Mike Brown in Ferguson. The residents in St. Louis County there voted to nominate a black man to be the lead county prosecutor, a guy named Wesley Bell. What's good about that is Wesley Bell believes in criminal justice reform, and he booted out the 27-year incumbent who had faced a lot of criticism for failing to charge the cop who shot Mike Brown in the first place. So organizing paying off on the ground there. In other words, 1 year after Charlottesville, let's stay vigilant. You know, America is not yet what it could be, it's not yet what it should be, but it's not what the worst voices in our country want it to be. And that's because people keep fighting. Let's keep fighting. Now, my next guest knows a lot